Good morning. Yep, I'm in my night clothes because I ain't changing today. Anyway, we're going to be reading about Hannah. Let's open this on up. Give everybody a chance to jump on in. Put this right there for a second with my little notes on it. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Oh, good morning. We're going to be in 1 Samuel. And I made a little snippet of a video yesterday, day before yesterday, I don't know. But it was about Hannah and her birthing something. I think it was yesterday. Anyway, I'm going to do a continuation of it because I'm going to read some of the first chapter. And then we're going to go into more depth. So I will be in 1 Samuel, and I'm just going to read a lot of the first chapter. I can't tell you where I'm going to start, but I'm going to tell you where I begin, and that's going to be in verse 1. So, good morning, good morning, good morning. You guys jump on in. I pray you guys are well. But we're going to talk about birthing. And I feel like a lot of us are in the birthing mode. And I've seen God birth out the impossible. So I know some people have some very big beliefs and they don't think that they can see them come through fruition. But God is saying, I am the God of impossible. Well, you don't think that there's a way. God knows that there is a way. So we are in the ending of a birthing year. And people think that because December is literally right here, that they didn't make all of their accomplishments that they made for themselves this year. But remember, you're putting standards and you're putting limits on yourself, not God. God is saying, take the limits off of me. I am limitless. But we tend to get depressed around holiday season because you start looking back over your failures, quotations, because you say they're failures, but God says it's a win. Because if you look back over where you came from, it's far greater than where you are now. And God is saying, stop being so hard on yourself. It's okay. Yeah, you might not have got the goals that you set for yourself, but you battled some demons and you won. So it's time to celebrate the little things and just have gratitude and just watch God come in. Because how are we ending the year? Are we ending it depressed because we didn't get what we wanted? Or are we going to end off on a high note saying, I battled this demon, I won. This one was bigger than me, I won. This happened, but I won. You are greater than your failures. You are bigger than that. And it's not even a failure because your failure might look like a huge accomplishment to someone else. Right? So, good morning. Your failure might look like that to somebody else, but it's not. I need you guys to understand who you are and whose you are. And when I think about Hannah, she knew exactly who she was. She knew that she belonged to God. And as I get into the text, because I'm about to start reading it, right? As I get into the text, it's going to talk about her faith, her belief, just how steadfast Hannah was. Close that door. So, here we go. Hush, baby. Okay. So, Skylar. Yeah. So it goes 1 Samuel. It says, there was a man named Elkanah from Ramathaim. I can't say that word. In the mountains of Ephraim. He was the son of Jophram, the son of Elu, the grandson of I can't say that one either. Y'all just know I can't say some of these words, so I ain't gonna fake the funk. The tribe of Ephraim. Elkanah had 2 wives, one named Hannah, the other named Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah had none. Every year, this man would go from his own city to worship and sacrifice to the Lord of armies at Shiloh. Eli's 2 sons, Hophni and I'm going to tear it up. Anyway, served the greatest priest. Whenever Elkanah offered a sacrifice, he would give 2 portions to his wife, Peninnah, and all of her sons and daughters. He would give a one portion to Hannah because he loved her, even though the Lord had kept her from having children. Because the Lord had made her unable to have children, her rival Peninnah tormented her endlessly in order to make her miserable. This happened year after year. Whenever Hannah went to the Lord's house, Peninnah would make her miserable, and Hannah would not eat, or would cry and not eat. Her husband Elkanah would ask her, "Hannah, why are you crying? Why am I not more than 10 sons?" So basically, let me break it down before I keep going. So basically, Elkanah was married to 2 wives, Hannah and Peninnah. Peninnah gave him sons and daughters. Hannah had none. It said that the Lord had closed her and kept her from having children. And it said year after year after year that Peninnah tormented and made Hannah's life miserable. Go find your brother and y'all come sit down. Okay. And made her life miserable year after year after year. So it was almost like she would get anxiety when it was time to go to do sacrifices, because Peninnah would literally make her life a living heck on earth, right? So her husband would give her a double portion, would give Hannah a double portion, because she didn't have kids, but he didn't want her to feel like she was neglected. But the other wife, he gave just enough for her and the kids or whatever. But he just wanted Hannah to know, like, she wasn't excluded, that he still loved her regardless if she had his kids or not. So, but that didn't stop Peninnah from literally mocking her, saying, "Oh, you can't have kids. You can't have kids. Pretty much like, why are you even in this marriage? Because what is your purpose? You can't birth my children. I mean, you can't birth his children or whatever, right?" So he was just basically saying, like, why are you crying? Why are you wailing? Because I'm still giving you all of this. I'm showing you all this love. Am I not worth more than 10 sons to you? So he just didn't understand, like, why is she crying and why is she worrying when I still love you, and I love you more than 10 sons could love you. So anyway, it says this: one day after Hannah had something to eat and drink in Shiloh, she got up. The priest Eli was sitting on a chair by the door at the Lord's temple. Though she was resentful, she prayed to the Lord. And she cried. She made this vow: "Lord of armies, if you would look at my misery and remember me and give me a boy, then I will give him to you as long as he lives. A razor will never be used on his head." While Hannah was praying a long time in front of the Lord, hush, Eli was watching her mouth. She was praying silently. Even her voice couldn't be heard. Only her lips was moving. Eli thought she was drunk. He said, "How long are you going to stay drunk?" Eli asked her. "Get rid of your wine." Hannah responded, "No, sir, I'm not drunk. I'm depressed. I'm pouring out my heart to the Lord. Don't take me to be a good-for-nothing woman. I was praying like this because I have been troubled and tormented." Eli replied, "Go in peace, and may the Lord of Israel grant your request. May you continue to be kind to me," she said. Then the woman went on her way, and she was no longer sad. Early in the morning, Elkanah and his family got up and worshiped in front of the Lord. Then they returned home to Ramah. Elkanah made love to his wife Hannah, and she remembered, and made love to his wife Hannah, and the Lord remembered her. Hannah became pregnant and gave birth to her son. She named him Samuel, because I asked the Lord for him. So I'm going to stop right there in the text. Right? Mari, Sky. So this is what God had me write. He says, sometimes you have to be pushed into purpose. Sometimes. Hold on. My babies got quiet. And I don't like when kids get quiet. So y'all gotta give me a second. Okay. Yeah, no. Okay. So, I'm sorry, you guys. I had to come back. Sometimes you have to be pushed into purpose. And I was sitting there with it yesterday. When he hit me with it, he said pushed into purpose. And then he reminded me of how I didn't really know fully that I was me until I went through a specific trauma. I went through something that pushed me into the woman that I am now. I had to experience a certain kind of heartbreak that had me on my hands and knees crying out to the Lord for him to deliver me through what I was going through, because no one but God could bring me through that moment. Nobody but God, right? So I was sitting back and he was like making it resonate to me, because Hannah in the Bible never really resonated with me. But yesterday I was sitting at work and he just pushed me back and he was like, this is how you got here. This is how you got here. And it was almost like I was pushed into where I am now. I had to experience a certain kind of heartbreak. I had to cry this specific kind of prayer. I had to be on my hands and knees broken to get to where I am now. Right? So it says Hannah was a barren woman, meaning she could not birth anything from her womb. But it was also said that God, in fact, closed the womb. And if God closes something, guess what? Then God can open it. And no one but God can open it. No one but God can open it. So it says, when Hannah went into the temple, the whole time she was there, Peninnah was mocking her. And it said that she tormented her. That's how bad this woman was bothering Hannah. Mind you, they both were married to the same man. So why were they competing when he married both of them? And in fact, that if Hannah had no relevance because she couldn't birth, why was Peninnah making a big deal? Why was she mocking her and tormenting her? It said, let me be specific when I do this. Okay. This happened year after year. Okay. Peninnah, and I guess what this is, verse 5. Peninnah tormented her endlessly in order to make her miserable. It said endlessly. She tormented her endlessly to make her life miserable. And this happened year after year after year. Every year, this woman who was able to birth out children for her husband literally tormented this woman to make her miserable, to remind her that you're not a good woman, that you're not a great woman. Like, what is your purpose in this marriage? You can't even birth out kids. I got his kids. Why are you even here at the temple? You can't do nothing. Get that out your mouth. You can't even birth kids. Yeah. Okay, I'm not studying that dog. Let her, whatever. It's okay. But the love of her husband is exactly why she mocked her while being barren. So, yeah, I'm doing everything, y'all. Join in. Listen, the love that Hannah's husband had for her, and it's evident when it keeps going. The love that Hannah's husband had for her is the reason why Peninnah hated her. And when I was reading the text, and I sat there and I said, well, why is this woman who was able to birth his children, why is she so angry? And why is she mocking this woman that is so insignificant in this marriage, that she almost has no relevance in this marriage because she can't birth out children? But you have all his kids. So why are you now mocking this woman when you should have everything that you should have, right? You should be that woman. You should be that one. Like, he should honestly forget about Hannah because you got all his kids, but you don't have his heart. But you don't have his heart. It says that when they got there, that he gave the wife with the kids, Peninnah, he gave her portion, but he gave Hannah a double portion. He knew that he had to love her differently. Put her in a cage. He knew that he had to love her differently because she was hurting, because she felt like she wasn't that great. She felt like, I didn't have his kids. I couldn't birth nothing out. So he was like, no, I want to show you that you are relevant, that I do love you no matter if you can or cannot birth out kids. It's not the fact that you had kids that I married you. You didn't have kids when I married you. I knew that you couldn't have kids when I married you. That didn't stop me from marrying you. That don't stop me from loving you. I don't love you any less because you can't do this. I don't love you any less. I actually love you more because you know how it is to be broken, and I need to heal all of these broken pieces. So when we get to this temple, yes, she gonna show her behind because she thinks she's winning, but she's actually an insecure woman, because an insecure woman does the mocking, does the torturing, does all of these things. An insecure and an immature woman does all of these things things because she can see the value that's inside of you. And she can see that I love you. An insecure woman will tear you down. That's what an insecure woman would do. If Peninnah was so superior to Hannah, why then are you looking down and mocking? If you're so superior, you're up there. Why are you looking down at this woman with no kids, with you and all your kids? Why are you looking down at her, tormenting her on the way there? Why are you making her relevant if she's so insignificant? Let me tell you how Peninnah was so insignificant. Peninnah was only this much in the scripture. The rest of the text was Hannah. Everyone knows who Hannah is because she's Samuel's mother. No one knows who Peninnah is and who are her kids. Where are they? We don't know. Throughout the Bible, we don't know. She knew that she was inferior. So she tried to instill that or inflict that on Hannah to make her feel less than, to make her feel worthless. Because inside, she felt insecure. Inside, she felt worthless. Inside, she felt insignificant. That's how she felt inside. So when you look at the text, you just see her mocking and tormenting her and just laughing, and I can have his kids. What can you do? What can you bring to the table? That's how I took it. And I just said this, maybe, just maybe, and this is my thoughts, maybe, just maybe, Peninnah saw the greatness that lied inside of Hannah. Maybe, just maybe. So then I was also saying that maybe, just maybe, she saw the tender love and care that the husband had for Hannah and how he truly loved Hannah despite her apparent flaws. And perhaps she was a bit jealous of the love that he showed her over and over and over again. And she realized that having all of the kids didn't equate to her and her kids because he still was going to love her no matter what. No matter what. Whenever I see a bully, because that's exactly what Peninnah was. She was a bully in a woman's body. It doesn't matter what gender a bully is. She was a bully. And whenever I see a bully, I see a broken person. She felt like, I am the true wife. Why does he still love her? But Peninnah didn't know what true love was. Because true love conquers all. True love conquers all. It doesn't matter if you can birth out a baby. A man can be with a woman and sacrifice having kids because she can't have kids. And that's how he loves her. It says for better or worse, richer or poorer, sickness and in health. She couldn't birth babies, but that didn't stop him from loving her. In fact, it sounds like Hannah was the true wife and Peninnah was kind of the sideline that just kept having kids. But that's just my take. But it said they both were wives. So it says this. It said, when I got to the text, it said that Hannah was depressed, so she cried out to God. When I went there, it said, this is out of her own mouth. He said, Eli asked her, how long are you going to be drunk? Because he saw her crying, but no words was coming out of her mouth. She was praying silently, and she was rocking back and forth, and she was wailing, and tears were coming. And he says, how long are you going to be drunk? How long are you going to be drunk? And she says, no, sir, I am not drunk. I am depressed, and I am pouring out my heart to the Lord. Don't take me for a nothing, a good for nothing woman. It said Hannah said she was depressed, so she was pouring out her heart to God. Depression isn't meant to be bottled up inside. She knew that she had to get this thing out. As she was sitting there rocking back and forth, she was birthing that depression out. She was pouring that out because it wasn't hers. She was depressed because she was mocked and taunted by this woman who felt like she was so superior and that Hannah was so inferior. And she had to make sure she knew her place in the marriage. You are nothing because I can have his kids. So she was sitting there and she was so depressed and she was rocking back and forth. And she said, God, I can't deal with this depression. I dealt with it year after year after year after year. It said this went on for years. Every year she came there depressed and broken. This year she said, you know what? I got to get this depression out of me. I got to get this depression out of me. It's not meant to stay in here. God, in fact, this depression is actually too big for me. So I'm going to give it to the God that can deal with the bigness. It's too big for me. So I'm going to give it to its rightful owner. Whenever something seems like it's too big for us, we need to do what Hannah did. She began to birth that thing out. She began to rock back and forth and cry it out and say, God, this is too big for me. God, if it's meant for me to have children, God, I will give this child back to you. I am getting mocked. I'm getting tormented. And I know that you closed my womb. And I'm wise enough to know that if you close something, that you can open something. Father, I will never put a razor to his head. Father, I will give him to you. Let me wean him off of my womb first. And I will give him to you for the rest of his days. I just want to birth a son to silence my enemies, God. To show them who you are, to show them whose I am and who I belong to. You might be mocking me now, but God is going to show you who he is. God is going to show up and show out in my life. And when I get up off of my hands and knees from getting done praying and rocking and rolling with God, you will see that my God lives. You will see that my God lives. When I get up off these knees, Lord God, when I get up off these knees, I'm going to walk out in faith that you will do it. And it will be so. I got a prayer that's going to break the chains off my life. I got a cry that's going to break the chains off my life. I got a prayer that's going to break depression off my life. I got to get it out of me. It's too big. It has to come out of me. It has to come out. Whatever you're going through, if it seems like it's too big, give it to God. Get on your hands and knees like Hannah and begin to rock back and forth. Let people think that you're crazy. Let them say that you're a drunkard. Let them say whatever they got to say, because, baby, they don't know what you've been through. Your praise, your worship, your cries, your tears, all of the above. They might say that you're crazy, but, baby, they don't know what you've been through. They don't know what you're coming out of. They don't know your struggles. They don't know what your tears mean. I don't care if I look crazy, God, I'll look crazy for you. Call me drunk, call me crazy, call me whatever. But God, you go call me healed and blessed when I get up off my knees. I got a praise that got to get out. And I need to birth something out that only you can do. It says after she got up, he said, go in peace. May God grant you your request. And she said, May you be continue to be kind to me. Then the woman went on her way, and she was no longer sad. By the time she got up off of her knees, it was already so. It had came to pass. It had came to pass. And that same very night, God birthed a baby inside of her. God said, you know what? I remembered how you prayed. I remembered your tears. I remembered your sorrow. I remembered your praise. I remembered your worship. I saw how you gave when you didn't want to. I saw how you dealt with that pain. I saw how she tormented you. I saw it all. And in the presence of your enemies, I'm about to give you something that's going to rock the world. In the presence of your very enemies, I'm about to shake something up. That very one that wanted to make you insignificant, we're not even going to hear about her no more. How many times have you given your enemies clout that they did not deserve? You're actually building your enemies up. Your enemies living rent-free in your head. They got a rent-free zone right in the top of your head. Every time you wake up, you getting scared of them. What you scared for? Them people can't do nothing to you. They can't do nothing but run their mouth, and God will silence the mouth of your enemies. God will silence the mouth of your enemies. You never heard about Peninnah again. It's raining right now as I'm speaking. Speak, Holy Spirit. Speak, Holy Spirit. Come on, let the rain fall. Listen, Peninnah couldn't do nothing but run her mouth. She knew she couldn't touch her because her husband loved her. She knew she couldn't do nothing but run her mouth. And her husband was like, that's women's. I'm not going to get in it. You're going to defend yourself when you're ready. He knew who Hannah was. He knew the power that Hannah was. And when she was ready, she was going to do what she needed to do to silence the mouths of the enemies. Why are you going back and forth with the enemies when all they can do is run their mouth? When you can run to God and get on your hands and knees and you can birth something up out of that praise. You can birth something up out of that worship. You can birth something up out of that prayer. You can birth something up out of there. You can silence the mouths of your enemies with the way that you worship God. With the way that you worship God. She knew that it was too big. She knew it. She didn't care who was in the temple. It said that Eli was the head of it. She didn't care if he was in there. He was the head of the tail. She went in and she dropped on her hands and knees because it was something that only God can do. It was a but God moment. It was a but God moment. And it had to come to pass. By the time she got on her knees, she was depressed, crying, tormented, tortured to no avail. She didn't see a way out. She was a barren woman. She felt worthless. She felt unworthy. She felt insignificant. She was tormented relentlessly. That's who she was when she got on her knees. She was depressed. That's who she was when she got on her knees. They thought she was a drunkard. Baby, it's a praise, it's a prayer, it's a worship, it's the rocking back and forth. It's something that is inside of you that needs to get birthed out, that's going to activate the next elevation into your level. It's something that you're doing, there's something that you're harvesting inside that you feel like it's too big for you, but you don't want to go to God with this problem because it doesn't seem that big. And God is saying it's too big for you. Get on your hands and knees and begin to give it to me. It says you were depressed before. Y'all get out the rain. Okay, but get out the rain. We'll fix that. Get out the rain. Get out the rain. Listen, it said that that's who she was when she got down on her hands and knees. By the time Hannah got up, after somebody said, you all right? You drunk? Put the wine down. You done had too much. You crying. You doing all this. You saying you praying, but ain't nothing coming out your mouth. You had them ugly tears before. Them tears that people look at you like you crazy. Or like back in the day when you used to get popped by your mama. You had got popped so hard that no words could come out. You just like, yeah, that's how she was. She was just sitting there like, God, only you can do this. Only you can do this. And I'm crazy enough to believe that you can and that you will. No razor will touch his head. I will give him to you. Lord, only just give me a son to silence the mouth of this woman. Because it's been years after years after years and I've been married, but nothing has been birthing out. And I feel like I'm insignificant in this marriage. I know that he loves me. I know that he does. But this woman feels like she has one up on me because I can't birth nothing out. So what can I do, God? What can I do? It said that God remembered Hannah. I'm going to leave it off with this. God remembered Hannah. Not God remembered Penina. No, God didn't say God remembered. She already had kids. She already had a husband. She already felt like she was superior. We don't even know what her kids' names are. We don't even know who Penina is. We don't even know where she come from. We don't know nothing about Penina. Nothing. But we know who Hannah is. We know who she is. We know who her son is. One of the most powerful prophets in the Bible. We know who he is. What does her son's name mean? What does Samuel mean? God hears. God hears. That's what her son's name means. Even that's a prophecy. Everything about her turned around in a matter of a praise and a prayer. That's it. What kind of praise and prayer are you sitting on that you need to birth out? Excuse me. What kind of praise and prayer are you holding back because you feel like you're insignificant? Because people been lying to you your whole life. Because people been wanting you to feel like you're inferior. To feel like you're less than because you come from the projects, or you come from a drug addicted parent, or you come from abuse, or you come from this, and they want to make you feel like you're nothing. They want you to feel like you're nothing. In fact, they try to instill this so much so that they try to beat it in you. Whenever I think about a bully in school, they want to try to make like that person that bullying is so horrible. Oh, you ain't got no shoes, material. Oh, your hair ain't done, material. Oh, this and that. Everything they're saying, God can turn around in 1 second. Remember, in one night, because that wasn't even a completion. That was the whole day. She was in there that morning. That night she conceived. She was in there that morning. That night she conceived. The suddenly happened like that. The suddenly happened like that. The suddenly happened like that. In a day's time, God turned Hannah's life around. God heard her. He moved accordingly. What kind of suddenly prayer are you missing out on? Just like that. It didn't take 2 to 3 business days. It didn't take 5 to 7 business days. It happened that night. That night she conceived. That night God remembered her. That night. God can do the suddenly in your life. That night. What are you believing for that can suddenly happen just like that? There is a suddenly happening in your life. There is a suddenly praise that you're sitting on because you don't feel like you're worthy. I don't know what people have been telling you in your life, but they've been misconstrued. It's a misconstrued notion about who you are, baby. Because I feel like I'm talking to some suddenly people. Suddenly your life is going to go from nothing to something. Something you're going to go from poverty to overflow. Suddenly. They're saying that you're never going to get married. You can't keep a stable relationship to save your life. You don't know what faithful is. And suddenly God's going to put it in your heart to go celibate to save yourself, and your kingdom husband or your kingdom wife is going to come because you're going to realize your value. Suddenly you're going to go from Being in poverty, don't know how to balance a checkbook, to having multi-millions balancing everybody's checkbook. You're going to go from working at a 9 to 5 to owning the 9 to 5. You're going to go from nothing to something. I know a God that can turn a nobody into a somebody just like that. And perhaps, maybe just perhaps, I am talking to some suddenly people. And I feel it very deep in my soul that I am in fact talking to some suddenly people. And if it is you, let me know. Type out suddenly in the comments. If it is you and the suddenly needs to happen in your life, then let me know. Nah, let God know. Let me take me out. Let God know. I believe that I'm talking to some suddenly people. I believe that I know some people on this live, 249 right now as I'm speaking, that are waiting on the suddenly, that are waiting to birth out the suddenly. Today is like 9 o'clock in the morning here. I'm Eastern time. By the time tonight ends, God is going to remember some people on this live. And whoever touches this video next, God is going to do some suddenly things in your life. I know a God that can do the suddenly. If God used me, he used Hannah. He used Ruth. He used all these other women in the Bible. He can use you. He can use a Veronica. He can use a Elise. He can use a Karen. He can use a Carol. He can use some people. I know that God can do the suddenly, and he can remember these people. I know this. I know this. Yes, Valerie, he can remember you. God is about to do something amazing in your life. Yes, Abby, he can do it for you as well. Tim, John, powerful name in the Bible. He can birth it all out through you. He can remember you. There is some suddenlies that have to happen in your life. There is some suddenlies that are going to happen, Tanya, in your life. There are some suddenlies that are going to happen. Be careful what you're asking God for, because he just might give it to you. He just might give it to you. And I can only imagine how full Hannah's heart had to feel when she was asleep and she felt that little boom, boom in her belly. Because when you're pregnant, you know that you're pregnant. You feel that little flutter come through your stomach really quick. And as she was sitting there laughing silently to herself, her heart began to smile because she was birthing out something great. She had already had the name planned out. Samuel. God hears. God hears. She knew when she got up that she had gave all she can give to God. She had gave all she can give to God. And she was like, just remember me. And this too shall pass, God. It came, but it has to come to pass. It has to come to pass. Nothing is going to stay in your life to torment you forever. The years had came. There's a time for everything. There is a time for everything. There was a season for her to be tortured. There was a season for her to be mocked. There was a season for that to happen. But baby, when time is up, baby, when time is up, you about to walk into one of the greatest seasons of your life. And every hater that ever came across you and ever made you feel like you were insignificant and ever made you feel like you were worthless and that you were ugly and that you were not good for nothing will be silenced, and you will never hear about them again. You will never hear about them again. You don't hear about the Egyptians anymore. You don't hear about Penina no more. You don't hear about the enemies no more. All you hear about is the greatness of it. That's it. All you hear about is the greatness of it. We heard about David's brothers going in there thinking they were king. But you know about the King David that done all of these miracle signs and wonders up in that Bible. That was a very good warrior. But you don't hear about his brother them. You don't hear about them no more. Who are they? Where are they? We don't know. The very people that think you're nobody, where are they now? The very people in your life that said that you were not going to be nothing, where are they now? Where are they now? You're giving your enemies too much clout. Where are they now? I had people tell me I was butt ugly. They called me olive oil. They told me I was too skinny, black, and ugly. They told me that I was never going to be nothing. I had all of this happen all throughout my years in school. Elementary, middle, and high school. Where are they now? Where are they now? Where are they now? They're insignificant. I can't remember one name because they are insignificant. And maybe, just maybe, it had to push me to be an accredited model, to be the woman that I am now, to be a loving mother, to make sure nothing ever happens to my children, to be this loving fiance that I am now. Where are the people that said that we weren't going to be where we are? I had people say that we weren't going to make where we are now. But where are they now? Everybody that said me and him weren't going to make it, where are they now? They're nowhere. Everybody that tried to come in and still kill and destroy this relationship, but where are they now? The same with your life. Where are the haters now? But God is getting ready to make up a table so you can be able to eat in the presence of. You are about to eat in the presence of. Believe me, when I say where are they now, they're somewhere watching you from the distance. Because a hater always has to keep an eye on you. There's always a hater watching your page somewhere in the comments or somewhere in the live stories or somewhere. They're silently waiting because they're praying that you fail. And this is the reason why God is going to do the suddenly. Because they have to watch you. They have to watch you. Even if it's from a fake page, they have to watch you. They can't believe that your life is going the way it is because they thought that you were nothing. And my belief, and this is just my belief, that they always knew who you were. That they always knew that if you found out who you were, greatness was going to be upon you. So they had to keep you quiet. They had to beat you down with their words. They had to belittle you. They had to demean you. They had to pick at you. They had to torment you. They had to do all of these things because maybe, just maybe, you could be everything that they could not be. And they saw it. And they saw it. So I'm going to close off with this. This suddenly happened for Hannah in a single day. The morning she went in, the night she was be able to conceive. That night she was conceptive. Like the baby was inside her. I'm saying the word wrong. But that night she was able to birth something. That night she carried something in her womb that they said that she could not. The morning and the evening came. And miracles began to pour out in her life. Miracles are getting ready to pour out in your life. Just like Hannah. Just like Hannah. The miracles are about to pour out in your life. And I believe that I am talking to some people that are going to be miracle receivers. The suddenly is about to take place in your life very rapidly. Understand who you are. And if this message was a blessing, my link is always in the bio. I love you guys. And I just speak peace over your life. And I speak the suddenly. I speak the suddenly because God is about to silence the mouths of your enemies. Where are they now? Is going to be the next words for the next couple of years. Where are they now? We know where you are and we know where you're going. And God is about to make sure of that. So sit back and watch because in the very presence of your enemies, God is getting ready to elevate you. Where are they now? I love you guys.
Can I say something?
You want to say something?
Mm-hmm.
What you want to say? Come on.
It's raining.
What you want to say?
When I went to school, every day I be seeing bullies every day.
You see bullies every day?
Yeah, they try to like bully me every day, but yesterday night, my dream, I was doing something like good. Like I was like ignoring the bullies, like I didn't hear them.
You act like you don't hear the bullies? Because you don't need to hear them. They ain't nobody to you. They ain't nobody to you. A bully is somebody that's sad inside. They mad because you that person. You strong. You mighty. Who you look like?
Daddy.
Your daddy. And you your daddy's child.
Hello.
Yep.
And I fixed the day too.
Okay.
Please swear for well. Praise to God, everybody.
You say praise to God, everybody.
Later.
Okay, see you guys later.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay.